Her so-called best friend decided to humiliate me over dinner. She could do way better than you, he sneered, smirking as though he had won some invisible battle. I shut him down, calmly but firmly, in front of everyone. Anna's face hardened. Apologize, or we're done, she snapped. I only smiled. I didn't give her a single word. But weeks later, when she came back home, she finally learned what done really means. For 3 years, life with Anna had been good, great, even. I'm a lawyer, which means my work often drags me into the ugliest parts of human nature. But walking through the door to see her, that was my peace. She worked as a paralegal, sharp as a blade, and carried this burning ambition to get into law school and make something of herself. I loved that drive in her. We weren't just a couple, we were a team. I had poured years into restoring the house we lived in. It felt solid, like more than just bills being paid. I wasn't investing in a girlfriend. I was investing in my future wife, but even the strongest foundations sometimes hide cracks. And in our case, that crack had a name. Leo. Leo was her best friend from college, a so-called graphic designer who preferred to label himself an artist. In reality, he was barely scraping by designing taco shop menus and still struggling to pay his rent. According to Anna, he was her ride or die, her platonic soulmate, her protector. To me, he was a parasite with a superiority complex. And worst of all, he had made it his personal mission to erode what Anna and I had. He was good at it, I'll admit. He never said anything I could call out directly. His weapons were subtle, a carefully placed jab disguised as a compliment, a sly reminder of her ex-boyfriend Alex, the musician who had once broken her heart. If I took Anna on a vacation to Mexico, Leo would chime in. Remember that spontaneous camping trip we took, Anna? You can't plan moments like that, you just have to be with someone who understands your free spirit. The unspoken message was always the same. I was the boring, safe option, and he was the gatekeeper to the exciting life she was supposedly missing. And the worst part, Anna bought into it. She was snowed under by his whole protective best friend act. Whenever I so much as hinted that he was out of line, she got defensive. He's just being Leo. He was there for me when Alex shattered my heart. He's family, Jack. I'm a patient man. My job requires it. You don't always pounce on the first piece of evidence. You let people talk, let them build their own case, and then you wait for them to hand you the rope. I waited for Leo to hand me that rope, and he finally did. A month ago, I won the biggest case of my career. 6 grueling months, endless nights, weekends lost in paperwork. But we won. For me and my firm, it was a defining moment. To celebrate, I hosted a dinner party. My closest friends came, the ones I'd neglected for half a year. And because I was still trying to play the good guy, I told Anna she could invite her friends too. Naturally, that meant Leo. The evening was perfect at first. The house buzzed with laughter, fine wine flowed, and for once I felt at ease. Of course, Leo was quick to take advantage, sipping my expensive bottles like he owned the place, basking in attention he didn't deserve. A few drinks in, he decided it was performance time. He launched into a rambling speech about some art exhibit, really just an excuse to contrast creators with suits. His eyes locked on me as he said, "Some of us are driven by passion, by art. Others, more practical." He drained my wine as though he'd made some grand point. My friends saw right through him, their glares sharp enough to cut glass. I gave him a tight smile and refused to bite. But he wasn't finished. Turning to Anna, he put on his most patronizing, concerned friend expression. "I just hope you're happy, Anna," he said, his tone dripping with fake sincerity. "I mean, Jack's a great guy, stable, reliable, a provider." He spat out the word reliable like it was poison. Then he paused, looked me dead in the eye, and smirked. "But you've got to admit, she could do way better than you." And just like that, Leo handed me the rope. The room went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. My friends looked like they were about to leap across the table. Anna just stared at her plate, blushing, not angry at Leo, only embarrassed that he'd made a scene. That was the exact moment everything sharpened into focus. The patient lawyer disappeared. The man who had just been disrespected, humiliated in his own home by a leech who lived off his generosity. That man took control. I set my fork and knife down slowly, folded my hands, and fixed my eyes on Leo. The host was gone. The prosecutor had arrived. That's a bold statement, Leo, I said, my voice calm, almost too calm. I'm curious what makes you so certain. In your expert opinion, what does a better man for Anna look like? Please be specific. Leo blinked, thrown off. He'd been ready for a shouting match, not a surgical cross-examination. Well, you know, he stammered. Someone more on her level. A creative. Someone who gets her. I see, I said with a nod. So the main qualification is being a creative, an interesting theory. And I assume you consider yourself the model example of that? I think I understand her better than anyone. He puffed out his chest. Perfect, I replied, leaning forward. So you're the gold standard. Let's examine that, shall we? Let's move past vibes and talk about something measurable. Investment. The room held its breath. As everyone here knows, Anna is in her second year of law school. It's a top-tier program and a costly one. I've paid for every bit of it, not just financially, but with faith in her and in our future together. So, Leo, my question to you, the man who believes he's better for Anna, is simple. What have you invested in her future, other than your negative opinions of me? His face strained of color. Anna shot me a panicked glance. Jack, please, don't, she whispered. I held up a hand, never breaking eye contact with Leo. I'm not finished. Let's talk about her car. It's safe, reliable. It gets her to and from school. I bought it for her. You have a car too, right, Leo? A flashy little convertible that breaks down constantly. In fact, Anna has had to loan you money for repairs 3 times in the last 6 months. Money she took from our household account. An account I'm the only one funding. So in a very real sense, Leo, I'm not just investing in Anna's future. I'm also the reason your little hipster mobile is still running. You're welcome, one of my buddies actually snorted before. Covering it with a cough, Leo looked like he'd been slapped. And finally, I said, leaning forward, my voice dropping, let's talk about this house. The roof over Anna's head. I bought it. I maintain it. I pay the mortgage. Meanwhile, you've been late on your rent so often that Anna has had to bail you out again with money I earned. So, let me summarize your case for the jury, or rather, for the table. Your position, Leo, I said, leaning back in my chair, is that a man who provides a stable home, a reliable car, and a fully funded top-tier education is somehow an inferior choice for Anna. And that a better man, by your definition, is someone who is financially reckless, a drain on her resources, and who repays her kindness by systematically sabotaging her relationship, all because of a pathetic, transparent, and deeply creepy obsession. Is that a fair summary of your stance? Silence. The closing argument had been delivered. The room was heavy, the weight of it pressing down on everyone present. Leo sat there like a man stripped bare in court, shredded by his own testimony. He was humiliated, broken, unable to speak. I scanned the table. My friends were looking at him with undisguised contempt. Then my eyes met Anna's. Her face was twisted in a storm of emotions. But what surfaced wasn't relief. It wasn't gratitude. It was rage. Pure, white-hot fury. She pushed her chair back with a screech, the legs scraping against the floor. She was trembling. I cannot believe you just did that, she hissed. You humiliated him in front of everyone. He humiliated himself, I replied, my voice steady but weary. All I did was present the evidence. Apologize, she demanded, her eyes burning into me. Right now, apologize to my best friend, or we are over. And there it was, the ultimatum, the final, undeniable proof. She wasn't just defending him, she was choosing him, the love I had for Anna didn't fade that night. It wasn't chipped away. It was executed. I looked at her one last time, and for the first time, I saw her clearly. No anger, no yelling, just a small, sad, and utterly final smile. Without a word, I stood, picked up my wine glass, and walked into the kitchen, leaving her standing there in silence. The case was closed. The verdict was in. The fallout came quickly. Anna and Leo left together that night in a storm of drama. She moved in with him immediately, a decision born of her fury and his humiliation. In her mind, she thought she'd thrown down the gauntlet, that I would come crawling back, begging, apologizing, doing whatever it took to fix what I had broken. But what she didn't realize was that I had already accepted her terms. For 2 weeks, I went dark. No calls, no replies to her barrage of texts that shifted from anger to confusion to pleading. I ignored the mutual friends she sent as messengers. I was a ghost. Instead, I got to work. The house that once felt like our home now felt like a crime scene. I spent a weekend methodically packing every single thing she owned into boxes. It wasn't anger, it was cleansing. Like an executor settling the estate of a dead relationship. When I was finished, I stacked the boxes neatly in the spare room, changed the locks, and reset the security codes. Then I made 2 phone calls. Not pleasant ones, but necessary. The first was to the dean of admissions at her law school. I explained, calmly and professionally, that due to a permanent change in my personal circumstances, the private scholarship fund I had established for Anna was being dissolved effective immediately. The second call was to the managing partner at my firm. I had pulled strings to secure Anna a coveted summer internship there, one that would have opened every door for her. I explained that due to a severe and irreconcilable personal conflict of interest, the offer had to be rescinded. I took no joy in it. My support for her had always been an investment in our shared future. She had destroyed that foundation with her own hands. Exactly 2 weeks after the dinner, Anna showed up at my door. I watched her on the security camera, fumbling with her key. Confusion gave way to anger when it didn't work. Finally, she rang the bell. I opened the door, leaving the security chain on. She looked nothing like the fiery woman from that night. The anger was gone, replaced by desperation. Life with a broke, narcissistic artist had clearly been harsher than she imagined. Jack, we need to talk, she said softly. No, Anna, I replied, calm and unshaken. We don't. You can't just throw away 3 years over one fight, she pleaded, tears welling. It wasn't a fight, I said coldly. It was a moment of truth. You were given a clear choice, your partner, or the man who's been undermining us from the beginning. And you chose him. You demanded I apologize to a parasite. That's not something I can forget. Her panic grew as she realized I wasn't budging. But everything we planned, she stammered. Law school, the internship, yes, I interrupted. About that. The tuition for your final semester is due next week, isn't it? I hope you and Leo have a plan, because my investment in our future has ended. Her face drained of color. What? She whispered. And the internship, I continued mercilessly. It's gone. The firm takes conflicts of interest very seriously. She stumbled back, hand to her mouth, her future evaporating in real time. You can't do that, she choked out, her voice breaking. Jack, please. You can't. I already have, I said firmly. Actions have consequences. You gave me an ultimatum, apologize or we're over. I chose over. Now you get to live with that choice. Go ask Leo for help. Surely his creative genius can cover your $50,000 tuition and salvage the career you just lost. And with that, I closed the door on her tear-streaked face. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel sorrow. I felt quiet. The trial was over. The aftermath? Predictable. Anna's life collapsed. She dropped out of law school just months shy of graduating. Her dream was gone. She and Leo are still together, from what I've heard, trapped in his tiny apartment. Friends say it's a nightmare. She resents him for everything she lost, and he resents her for being a constant reminder of his inadequacy. He got the girl, but not the woman she used to be. He got a bitter, broken version of her, one he can't fix, and certainly can't afford. I didn't do this for revenge. I did it for myself. A relationship is a contract, and she violated its most fundamental clause, loyalty. My actions weren't punishment, they were enforcement. She wanted to know what done really means. Now she knows. It means the support ends. The investment stops. The builder walks away, leaving you to stand in the wreckage of the house you helped burn.